Nightlight9 here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to beat Ifrit on very hard mode for the purpose of unlocking his Hellfire ability. Ifrit is thankfully the easiest of the summons, and so we're going to kind of just jump right in. One thing I will note though is because he's easier and because I've been playing since launch, my normal teams are considerably higher power than this, but I wanted to use a weaker team because I feel like then I would be forced to use more strategy so I can show you how to beat it rather than just brute forcing it. So here's Aith. I'll start with her. The most important stats that I'm looking for or trying to get everybody to is the 4,000 HP threshold. There's a lot of nukes that happen at every stage of this fight, and so you just need to be able to survive them so that you can heal back. Magic defense is also important, and fire resist if you can get it. For her main weapon, I'm using Fairy Tail for the Curaga. She is my main and only healer, and so that will be important. For secondary weapon, Mithril Rod for this magic defense, just to make her a little bit tankier. Fire resist, I said, is also important, and that's why we're using the Shiva Cannon along with the Shiva's Blade. Both of these weapons are free weapons that you can get from beating Shiva. And if you look, those two together are providing 16 points of fire resistance, which puts us at level 3 for 20% resistance. This weapon here I just put in because it was weaker, trying to keep my combat power below 110,000, because I believe you can do this fight at about 100,000. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. Every single one of my characters will have the X sigil break in the first slot here. It is the most important sigil. There is a secondary sigil that can be broken, but it's a rare one. It's not one of the main 3, and so I won't worry about it. Blizzara, every character has some form of either Blizzara or Blizzard Blow in order to do ice damage because Ifrit is weak to ice. And here I just use the Fyra for the stats. It's obviously not going to be cast. So next we have Lucius. She's our second most important character here because she is the one using the Shiva summon. I'm using Whiteout here because I figure most people probably haven't had a chance to tackle Shiva very hard for Diamond Dust unlock, but I do have a video on that as well when you're ready for that. So we're using Whiteout level 5. Her main weapon is the Bald Eagle here, just to boost the ice potency, because I don't have a lot of weapons leveled up for her. She's only level 41 for me. And secondary weapon I chose for fire resist, so that she can be more survivable. Here, this weapon is the least important one. I chose it for the ice potency and magic attack just to help me DPS. This is the most important one on her, and it's only because it gives plus 40 points to HP. This one as well gives plus 26, so we're looking at a ton of HP boost, and I needed it to be able to get to that 4,000 threshold. She also has an X sigil break here at the top. She has Blizzara Blow or Blizzara at the bottom, and then here she has Ice Breach, which is not necessary for this fight. It might help with DPS, but mostly it's got pretty decent stats on it. And last we have Tifa. The most important thing about Tifa, I would say the most important thing of all, is the upper shot ability. You can use this in combat with these weapons equipped. It decreases magic attack. Potency is mid, which is quite nice, and the duration is 20 seconds, which is a good amount of time. So that will also help us survive. I use these just because they were my next highest weapon, and they also have the magic defense for survivability. For sub-weapons, this Heavy Hauser is just one of my higher level weapons. Otherwise, it's nothing special. The Buster Sword provides a little bit of HP, and Ifrit's Sword also HP. The ice resist doesn't matter for this fight. Other than that, she also has the X break. She has the ice, so that she can do damage to Ifrit's weaknesses, and she has Healing Asuna, which I just use for the stats. It's not needed in this fight. Lastly, I just wanted to say her Somersault is also a little bit helpful here because it reduces physical defense and magical defense. Again, potency mid, which is great, and duration 21 seconds, which is quite a healthy amount of time. So, with all that said, we're going to go ahead and just get into the fight. I will be controlling Aith. I will have it on semi so that I can make sure that I keep casting the heals and keep everybody topped off. these guys do a thing in the beginning that hurts quite a bit, and so it will be important to kind of have a heal at the ready for as soon as they're done. And here it comes. I immediately click the heal just to prevent anybody from possibly dying. Once you get one of them down, it gets considerably easier, and that will be even more true in the next room that we go into, where there'll be 3 enemies, and we will want to focus primarily on getting one down in the middle, the Condor here, right away. I'm going to use the somersault right away just to lower his stats, make him easier to kill, and also I'm not too worried about it because Aith's, or not Aith, but Tifa's somersault, her limit recharge is quite fast. So I did sneak in a Blizzara with Aith. It doesn't get to happen very often, but it is important just to kind of try to get that guy down as fast as possible, because it's just that much less damage and it makes the fight a little bit more relaxing. It's not very fun when you constantly have your guys, down to their last 700 health. An important thing also to pay attention to during this section of the fight is that these bombs, when they get to just below 50% health, they will cast this explosive force. You see the timer starts to go off. It is important to try to burst them down at that point. You do not want that to go off. It does AoE damage quite a bit, like give or take 1500 to everybody. And we are trying to go into the Ifrit fight, with, as strong as possible, with as much HP and everything like that. So if I see them get, close to 50%, I'll usually start kind of saving the bar and then getting ready to just try to add some DPS with Aith so that I don't have to worry about taking that shot right before we go into fighting Ifrit. And here we are. The man himself. The first thing he's going to do is he's going to do this harness magic. He's going to start this ignition gauge, which is this gauge that he has at the top. And when he does that, you want to get that down as much as possible because it directly influences how much damage he deals out with every attack he makes. The way you get that bar down is simply by doing damage, but because he's weak to ice, if you damage him with ice, he takes more damage, and therefore you can negate that bar much quicker. It is as important, if not more important, than any of the rooms in this fight to keep everybody topped up, because his moves are AoE. They do quite a bit of damage. This is where I'm going to start using the upper shot. I think the computer or the AI will auto cast it to some extent, but I like to try to get it in while they're charging up those big moves, just to try to mitigate some of the damage. And had the heal ready. And then as soon as this comes up, you want to start immediately getting those sigils down as fast as you can. I usually am unable to get these left sigils broken. I don't have anything that directly breaks those, and so there's quite a bit of sigils in general. So here I just do as best I can, because the more sigils you break, ultimately the less damage his big move does. And somewhere right in the middle here, he's going to do a Hellfire. It's usually when this bar gets very close to the middle. And there it is. So I switched my stance preemptively, knowing that that was going to come. And I will heal here, just again to get everybody kind of topped up. And then I will immediately go back to attempting to break these sigils. Okay, and at this point, it does kind of become a bit of a DPS race. We can survive his next move, which I think is called Crimson Dive. But after that, yeah, things start to get a little bit, just a little bit hairy. So after Crimson Dive, basically, his next Hellfire will kill the whole party. So it is important starting now that we start really focusing on damage. And that's why I waited just a little bit of time so that Aith could get a little bit more ice damage in. Obviously casting her Limit Break makes it to where, you know, she doesn't have to use her ATB gauge to do damage. And you see how little damage that was doing. You know, that's just because his ignition gauge was so broken from, you know, all the ice damage that we've been putting out. Switch our stance. Take the Crimson Dive to the face. Immediately heal, and then that'll probably be the last time that I heal this battle. From here on out, I'm going to just be focusing on doing as much DPS as I can so that this Hellfire does not go off. Just for good measure, we're going to use the somersault, weaken him a little bit more, and he goes down. And that is the fight. Just that easy. Like I said, I think it's actually harder to survive the mobs in the beginning than, you know, once you get it down pat, than it is to actually beat Ifrit. If you have any questions about, you know, alternative characters or builds that, you know, could be useful, or any questions about any of that, feel free to drop a comment. If you found this video helpful, please like it. And if you want to see more content from me on Final Fantasy VII, then hit the subscribe button. Thank you.